Welcome back to Immersion Church. I'm Pastor Chris Soloc. We are in week 2 of talking about servant leadership. And this week we're talking about Jesus, the Servant King. You know, we follow the pattern of Christ, yet unfortunately we live in a time 2,000 years post-Christ that there are so many things that exist in the Christian world that really aren't that Christ-like. And so we're in a Christian culture, a Western Christian culture, that sometimes contradicts the very gospel itself. And we would say, oh, no. But the reality is yes. And it's in the way we look at leadership, or the lack there even of true leadership within the church, that speaks to the absence of spiritual servant leadership. And what the early church believed in, what the early church was anchored in. And it was all about people who had walked with Jesus and then had demonstrated what it was like to walk with Jesus. We've talked about this in past, that discipleship is generationally handed down. Well, so is servant leadership, because servant leadership and discipleship walk hand in hand. Whether you're a full-blown disciple of the gospel or not, or you're serving in your local body, however you want to look at it, to me, it's all the same thing. Some people want to compartmentalize these things, and I'm not going to stop you from doing that. If that's how you choose to look at it, then by all means, look at it that way. But for me, it is all the same thing. The principles are the same, the purpose is the same, the example is the same, and we are to imitate. And the reality is that Jesus did not only serve us, but he did it in love. And we just came out of talking about his love. Kind of a nice setup for moving into servant leadership, because we have to become love in order to serve properly. And so this is the natural progression, but we have to recognize that it's not just a progression beyond ourselves, it's a progression into Christ. At some point, we're going to have to acknowledge that we don't have it all together and that we need him, right? We all say we had this moment, yet our lives must continually reflect it. If I had a need for Jesus the moment I met him, then I'm going to have a continual need for Jesus from that point forward. Well, that's the case with servant leadership, is that its direction is not about our understanding, our instincts, what we think should happen, but as God is directing it. And I'm going to tell you that what God wants to do will be far more successful than anything that we can do. But it depends on the metrics in which you're using. Are you using kingdom metrics, or are you using worldly metrics? It's been unfortunate as I've traveled overseas, like watching so many times that the West will come into a place and they'll put a bunch of people in a place and they'll say, look, God is changing the course of this country and this nation, when really all it is a fundraising opportunity for the churches on the ground and for the TV station that's broadcasting it. And I've heard from leaders very specifically in more than one country that it decimates the work. It actually damages the work, because the support then fades after those moments, because they're saying, oh no, look's already being done. But we need resource. The smaller, no, they sow into the bigger ministries, they don't sow into the smaller ministries. And so there's this mindset that permeates, oh no, we're going to sow to the bigger thing because the bigger thing is the thing of God. When come to find out, it's a fundraising opportunity. It's a big worship service with a fundraising opportunity attached to it. There's no work that's being done out of it. And I have had so many pastors from so many different countries come to me and talk about these things that will go on and how it strangles, it starves their ministries. And so my point being, again, is that we need to be discerning in our day-to-day existence with the Lord as to how not only he wants us to use us, but then when we look at these other things that are happening around us, are they truly him or are they something else? Because the kingdom's metrics are very different than our own, yet we still see things that are put on by different aspects of the church, and we think it's reaping a result. And the question is, have we ever taken that to the Lord? And I just speak from that perspective, that just to take it to the feet of Jesus and let him speak to it. And it may be him, it may not be him. I'm not going to say that every major crusade or every major meeting abroad is a fundraising scheme. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying it does happen. And people are blown away when they see the numbers and hear numbers and all this kind of stuff. Yet, the people that are actually doing the work on the ground are actually being hurt or hampered by those events. Well, that's not the will of God taking function. No, that's something else entirely. So what am I saying? It requires sensitivity to the Lord with his plan in order to serve, to be a servant leader properly within the body of Christ. Jesus would go away to the early parts of the day, the wee hours of the morning, and he would talk with the Father about the plan for the day. This again is that point of intimacy and connection. It's also very important to understand, just like everything else, that Jesus dismantles worldly leadership structures. The way he sets things up destroys the ability to manifest ego or importance or to glorify oneself over that of God. Because the only reason that we're even in position to serve God is out of a need for God. See, there's a misconception, I think, because God has chosen his process of using each and every one of us in such a way that God would bless us. God would be able to do more for us, not just in this place, but in the life to come, that there's this reliance upon us. God could do everything that he wanted to do without us, but he chose to do it in such a way that you and I would be a part of that process. And there's a lot of misunderstanding and misconception with that. Oh, God needs me. Well, that is inevitably true, but not in the context of self, in the context of service. God can't do anything with you in an egotistical state, knowing better than him. No, he needs someone, he needs hands and feet that are submitted to his perfect plan, perfect will, and perfect purpose. Mark 10:43-44 says this: whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant, and whoever wants to be first among you must be a slave of all. We don't like this. In the Roman world, greatness meant domination. In the kingdom, greatness means devotion. That's not a crazy thing to think about, that we would stay devoted to the purpose and the plan of God. Why? Because he loves us. Why does he love us? Because we are his, and his plan has always been to ransom more, but by using as a testimony and an evidence, you and I. But that doesn't happen when we make it about us, because all that does is convolute the mess. It doesn't communicate the message clearly. No, it creates a cloudy message, a confusing message, a religious message, not a spiritual one. Luke 22:27 intensifies it. For who is greater, the one at the table or the one serving? Isn't it the one at the table? But I am among you as the one who serves. The one with all authority chose the position of lowest posture. Why? To demonstrate the heart of God, to demonstrate how real power is transferred, how real authority is demonstrated. Jesus doesn't ask any of us to do anything he didn't do himself. But do you love him enough to do it? He loved us and he loved the Father enough to do it. It is a challenging and daunting question that we all must ask ourselves. Authority in the kingdom flows from humility. It is not seized, it is entrusted. And guess who gets to determine that level of entrustment? Jesus. Why do you think intimacy is so important with God? Purpose, right? For the purpose of, number one, knowing God and being known by God. That's first and foremost. I want you to think about this. If you have two qualified people and their resumes are completely accurate, one is a person that you know very well, and the other person you don't know well at all. They have the exact same resume. They both seem very qualified to do the job. I'm going to hire the person that I know their character, I've spent time around them, that I have a more intimate knowledge of them and their habits and their behaviors, rather than the unknown. That seems very logical, does it not? The world continues to say lead from the top. Protect your position, assert your authority. Let everybody know who's boss around here. Jesus says, lower yourself, serve sacrificially, and let obedience define influence. My first point, humility does not weaken authority, it purifies it. I'm going to tell you, there have been instances early on in church planning and in developing, and there have been some weird moments along the way where people really wanted to put me in my place. like went way out of their way to try to make sure that they were getting their pound of flesh. And I'll never forget, because we were back in the original church building, the church share. And for some of you who go back that far, Sam Morse and his wife Carmen used to prepare the meal for us. Sam's a dear friend and a former executive chef, and still a very active chef, mind you, but worked for a very large casino here in Las Vegas and restaurant. Man, I mean, he's worked with some amazing people, and he's incredibly talented. And let's just say that when Sam and I meet, we always meet at a restaurant spot, whether it be for lunch or for whatever. That we share a passion, a love for food. Well, there was an instance where a person, I was praying for someone on the other side of the church behind closed doors, and someone had seen me go into that place, and they were chasing me. Apparently I wasn't aware of it, but there was a person that was chasing me with a bag of trash, and Sam stopped him and was like, they were like, can I help you? And he was like, yeah. The pastor, I was, this bag of trash is full. I was looking for the pastor to take it out. Sam kind of looked at him funny and said, that's not what he does. Give it to me. I will take it out. Ironically enough, a couple of weeks later, same person, same situation, another person within our church who served with our overseas team. Some of you guys know Pinay. It happened to him. It was the same person. And it just happened to be that I'm praying for other people on the other side of the church. I'm not even aware this is going on, but this person was trying to make a point. I don't have a problem taking out the trash. It's so funny, we moved into the house church. I take the trash out all the time. But it was very interesting, and this is my point being, is that Sam was an executive chef and Penny was on our ministry team. No. I will take that. There was a shared identity that we were all there, number one, to help one another, but we were also there all to serve one another. that's a community mindset. That's a heart attitude that continually reflects, number one, humility, but I already know what was going on. There was a point where people at times have perceived my humility as weakness. And they look to make a point, or they've tried to take advantage of it. Mark has seen it over and over and over again. Mark might actually be able to write a book about it from a secondhand perspective, because it is perceived and misunderstood. And people think they can abuse, manipulate, steal from it. And I'm going to tell you, you can't when it's led by the power and the authority of a living God. And then just because someone demonstrates humility and love in an authentic way doesn't mean, number one, that the impulse to steal or to take from it in some way is healthy. It's not. But I'm going to speak to that humility is authority. In the kingdom of heaven, humility, not your demonstration of humility, but true humility. There's a problem taking out the trash. This person thought I did. No. Come on. The reality is that God strengthens us in a way that the world perceives as weakness. And we have to be okay with that. We have to be okay with that. It will mess with you. It will confuse you. But I speak to it because it purifies us. It purifies our motives. It purifies our heart. It purifies our actions and our intentions. I want to tell you this idea of being a servant leader, guys, is wonderful. Your growth within the confines of the construct that Jesus has left for us, man, all we do is accelerate and grow through it. Yet it is painful in letting go of the things that we believe so much of the time is our core sense of identity. Here, everybody, let me show you what I can do. Most of the time, if people truly love you, they don't need you to earn their love to begin with. So often it is, and there's so many people in our church that have come to us in that condition because it's normal. The world says, show us your value. We already know your value. We know your value because Jesus has already said you're valuable. We don't need you to earn the love and respect in our church. It's already given. It's given freely. Let us serve you. Let us care for you. How are you? The question is, once you've seen that demonstrated and you've experienced the freedom of it, would you not let go and become in the same way, that allow God to use you in the same capacity because he desires to? John 13, 3-8 says this: Jesus knew that the Father had given everything into his hands, that he had come from God and that he was going back to God. So he got up from supper, laid aside his robe, took a towel and tied it around himself. Next, he poured water into a basin and began to wash his disciples' feet and to dry them with the towel tied around him. He came to Simon Peter, who asked him, "Lord, are you going to wash my feet?" Jesus answered him, What I am doing, you don't understand now, but afterward you will know." "You will never wash my feet ever," Peter said. And Jesus replied, If I don't wash you, you have no part of me." Jesus is speaking from the perspective of someone that knew the Father, that knew the plan. And what he was saying was, I'm going to demonstrate this. And if you cannot allow me, I need you to hear this. If you will not allow me to do the work in you, then you can have no part of the work that I do. You can have no part of who I am, because this is who I am. This is no longer about who you are. This is about who you are in me, who you are in relationship to me. And he's speaking to authority here. Jesus is not just a man. He's the living God. He's the Son of God. He's not a suggestion. Oh, well, he had some really good thoughts, some really good ideas. No, either he's Messiah or he's not. And we cannot continue to live with the ambivalence as to whether he is or he isn't. He is the King. He is the Son of God. Either he is or he isn't, but by our actions, we're going to declare one or the other. What isn't a part of him never lands like him, never looks like him. This is not something that can be replicated, mimicked. If anything, it's a mocking. When you say, oh, I'm going to do something, but I'm going to do it in my flesh, but I'm going to call it God, it's a mocking of him. Whether you intended it to be or not, don't call something him if you're not working in partnership with him. Very dangerous. There's a lot of people who do this because they don't understand, number one, his authority. They don't understand him personally. They think that and there's a tremendous lack of fear of God. They're in an age and under grace. And so in that, there is no fear of him. And when there is no fear of him, there is a boldness to claim him while doing whatever they want to do, serving themselves. I'm just going to speak to the fact that isn't servant leadership. And so in that, Jesus again is speaking to Peter, and it's very funny because Peter is the most verbal of the disciples, at least of what we have on record. It's it's Peter that's constantly challenging certain things, which in certain senses are great, and in other senses are just outright foolish. And this is one of those foolish moments. Jesus is demonstrating how we are to be. And it comes back again, if you get to the end of the book of John, Jesus restores Peter. Do you love me? Do you love me? Do you love me? And what does he come back to? Feed my sheep. Feed them the way I fed them. Feed them the way I fed you. In first century culture, foot washing was reserved for the lowest servant, yet the Son of God removed his outer robe, wrapped himself with a towel, and washed the dirt from the disciples' feet. This is not symbolic politeness. This is radical reversal. What he is saying is this is the posture and the heart attitude of those who belong to me. If you understand who I am, if you understand what I value, if you understand this is the way I do things, and you have a desire to do with me, not for me, this is how you will do it. Speaks to intentionality, speaks to position, speaks to attitude, mindset, approach with people, empathy, openness with people. An approach to serve and lead people from that service mindset is very different than leading them out of direct personal authority. This is about meeting need. Not directing people, meeting need. Valuing people, understanding people, discerning purpose in relationship to them. It's not talking at them, it's talking to them. Jesus says in verse 15, "For I have given you an example that you also should do just as I have done for you." He did not say admire this, he said imitate. Ooh, wow, look at him. No, do what I'm doing. My second point, washing feet leadership means you disciple personally, you serve practically, and you lead relationally. I don't know how else it's really done. I mean, you can try to do it in these other ways in a much broader strokes, but people have to have a vested interest. If you're going to follow someone, then you have to be personally vested in that. I know that's the case for me. Like I spend a lot of time with Jesus personally because number one, I want to spend time with Jesus, and secondly, it's the point of connection. It's the point of relationship. Like, number one, I need him. Number two, I need direction for the thing that he and I are doing together. And I don't have ideas anymore. He gives me ideas. There have been times when I get like certain kinds of revelation and I'm like, it comes so fast that I go, hey, was that me or was that you? Because there's really like there's no separation in those moments. I don't know if you've ever experienced anything like that. If you have, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you've never experienced that, then you have absolutely no clue what I'm talking about. But it's not me. It's not my idea. It was very much like us putting these biblical literacy books together over the last 14 months. Like that was the furthest thing from my mind. And one morning he gets up, bam, there it is. And I'm taking this, I'm bouncing this off people. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a massive undertaking. It's a huge project. And he's like, yeah, but this is what I want you to do. Philippians 2:5-11 says this, make your own attitude that of Christ Jesus, who is existing in the form of God, did not consider equality with God as something to be used for his own advantage. Instead, he emptied himself by assuming the form of a slave, taking on the likeness of men. And when he had come as a man in his external form, he humbled himself by becoming obedient to the point of death, even to the death on the cross. For this reason, God highly exalted him and gave him the name that is above every name, so that at the name of Jesus, every knee will bow, of those who are in heaven and on earth and under the earth, and every tongue should confess that Jesus Christ is Lord, to the glory of God the Father. Woo. Do you understand? I hope this is making this clear, that the path to responsibility, not to positioning oneself, but the path to responsibility is servanthood. But first, the responsibility is into the relationship with Jesus. Are you willing to let go of, when he says let go of something, you let go of it. When he says don't do it, you don't do it. When he says don't watch it, don't watch it. When he says don't listen, don't listen. You know, we sing this song, Spirit Lead Me. And it speaks to that very thing. That anything that he gives permissibility to do, that we should do out of obedience. Anything he says not to do, we should trust him, that he has wisdom and discernment. As God, he knows what's best for us, and we shouldn't do it. And we remove the human intellect from it and say, I trust you. I'm going to be led by the Spirit, Jesus, because you love me and you are righteous and you are holy. You are the living God. You are the Messiah, and you want what is not only best for me, but you want what is best for the whole entire world. I don't think, based on what most of us claim, that should be difficult. Yet it is. My third and final point, the kingdom ranking system works backwards. Down is up, last is first, and the servant is greatest. Do you understand that Jesus is trying to make you great? I'm going to say that again. Do you understand that Jesus is trying to make you great? Not in the eyes of men, but in the eyes of God. Something to think about. Is it about men and their approval, or is it about God and his approval? You may get both and you may not. if you had to choose between one or the other, it's easy to say, oh, I want God. But that comes with all kinds of other nonsense. When men don't understand what they're looking at, they make all kinds of opinions and they verbalize them. And they'll insult you and they'll mock you. They'll ridicule you. They'll isolate you. You may not get invited to that barbecue you always went to anymore. You may lose 30,000 followers online like Shannon did. That's what Jesus cost her. Are you willing to pay that price? Is what God matters more important than this reality? Because for servant leaders, that's where it's got to start. That we have to be an imitator of the servant king, Jesus Christ, Messiah himself, in order for us to be qualified to be made, molded, reshaped, renewed, transformed into something great like him. Until next week, be blessed.